The radical left, their philosophies and policies are horrible. They don't work. You look at crime, you look at what's gone on at the border, you look at what's going to happen to crime. I mean, the crime that's going to happen, but I think we got there just in the nick of time.
In the nick of time. President Trump getting to work fast, really fast. I'm talking about lickety-split fast. Never seen anything like it. Illegal aliens being rounded up across the country by various federal law enforcement agencies. Some of them crazy, violent lunatics like this Haitian guy. He looks like he might eat a dog. He looked like he was trying to escape with the help of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is not on our side. They're not on our side. If you're listening, they're not on your side. You and I, we're on the same side. The Democrats not on our side, not on our side. A last month headline, Blue State faces spike in migrant sex crimes. Sure. As top city pledges resistance to Trump deportations. Honestly, it's like these people are like a Mel Brooks movie. Resistance? What are you resisting? Civilization, the rule of law, modern science, genetics, genealogy, modernity. They're really like the Taliban, and they're out there tearing down statues and tearing down portraits and tearing down all kinds of stuff because, that's what they do. They're the Taliban. They're the left. They're not liberals, and they're not on our side. Great stuff. Boston officials have been largely silent on series of sex crimes against residents in city. Now, mostly young women, some young boys too, and sexual assaults by illegal migrants. So they call them Massachusetts Gesundheit. Spike in illegal migrants arrested for sex offenses over the last several months in the state and the city of Boston, the state of Massachusetts. And they have pledged, both the state and the city, to resist President Trump's plans for mass deportations. Because Democrats, it's like the recruiting people in Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks, because they love crime. What kind of crimes do they like, Michael? Because I know the Democrats like all kinds of crimes, but they do like some crimes better than others, as we know.
Qualifications.
Rape, murder, arson, and rape.
You said rape twice.
I like rape.
You do. Charming.
That's the Democrat Party in 2025. They never rest, do they? The Jeffrey Epstein Island is their thing. Bill Clinton is their boy. He's their boy. They got Anthony Weiner. They got a whole passel of them, whole plane load of these miscreants. Miscreants, I tell you. So remarkable stuff. Since August in Boston and Massachusetts, ICE enforcement and removal operations, they've arrested 26 illegal migrants in the Boston area alone for sex crimes against children. Only the ones against children, not even counting the ones against adults, ranging from child rape to sexual assault to disturbing child pornography. That's stepping on the Democrat Party's field there. Because that who did they get child pornography? It was the cartoonist at the Washington Post, the political cartoonist at the Washington Post. Just over the weekend, child pornography, because, Democrats, they got a lot of issues with sex and with children. So we got that. The headlines are CNN very, very upset. Trump targets DEI and civil service protections. Striking fear in some federal workers. They're workers, like in the Soviet Union, they're workers. That's because DEI is DOA, right? Everybody's doing the DOA. It's DIE because it done died. DEI and President Trump sending them packing as of 5 p.m. yesterday. Pack up your things. I wonder if they handed out cardboard boxes. Here's a cardboard box because your DEI office is going to have to DIE, and it's DOA, and it's get out of here now. by 5 p.m. yesterday, get out. Now, they're going on paid leave, paid administrative leave, because, it's still the government, and if you don't show up, they still pay. And President Trump is doing this. Hey, how about all the federal government employees? I don't like to call them workers because I'm not a Bolshevik like Bernie Sanders, but they should be back at work in the office rather than pretending to work from home. And now that's causing a bit of upheaval, too. Actually, I had somebody at Newsmax complaining, boy, there was more traffic today. I don't like this federal employees back at work in the office thing because parking is not as easy as it was. Remarkable stuff. Also, Trump tasks Kellogg to end war in Ukraine within 100 days. That seems like a good idea. Why didn't Joe Biden do that? Isn't that amazing? Trump tasked U.S. envoy Kellogg, this retired Army General Keith Kellogg, and say, hey, let's get an end to this war. What do you think about that? And the former general, who's a good guy, solid guy, no fluff. I don't want to say BS, no BS kind of guy. And tasked now with ending the war in Ukraine in 100 days. Hey, why didn't I think of that? Oh, wait a minute. I had thought of that. I did think of that. I thought of that long ago. I'm glad President Trump is actually doing it because the way I was raised, I don't know about you, war is bad. War is bad. And the best thing about war is when it ends because then all the killing stops and the destruction and all that stuff. And so President Trump now talking about ending the war and tasking a good man to take that on because war is bad, ending war is good. Joe Biden is the boy of the military-industrial complex, and he's no good at what is he no good at? Oh, yeah, anything. He's no good at anything. He's bad at everything. And again, CNN very upset. Trump's deportation plan begins to take shape as migrant communities face fear and uncertainty. And they got fear and uncertainty in quotation marks because they're CNN. Isn't that amazing? As begin to take shape, they face fear and they're bracing. Now, look, I mean, if every day you're breaking the law, it's like drug dealers are suddenly in a panic because there's a crackdown on drug dealers. Yeah, okay. And the Democrats are like, oh, you're cracking down on immigration. No. That's like saying the Democrats screaming, Republicans are cracking down on driving. No, it's drunk driving. It's drunk driving cracking down on, which is considered to be a negative thing. And if you're cracking down on drunk driving, you see, that's not the same as cracking down on driving, right? And if you're cracking down on illegal immigration, that's not the same thing as cracking down on immigration. There is no crackdown on immigration, but that's what all the filthy, rotten, lying people that get Lucite blocks for their journalism are talking about today. Isn't that amazing? Axios, the radical left-wingers at Axios, immigrants rush to prepare for Trump deportation raids. No, immigrants don't. There are no immigrants that are legal immigrants, and there are millions of them that are preparing for Trump deportation raids. Axios' headline is a lie from the first letter, the first word. The headline is a lie. Immigrants don't rush to prepare for anything, but people that are breaking law every day, illegal immigrants, they might be rushing to prepare for being held accountable. The Democrats don't believe in accountability because they're not on the side of civilization. They're really not. So immigrants, that's illegal immigrants. That's what they mean. It's a code. I got to put together the liberal to English translation dictionary. And one of them is immigrants actually means illegal alien criminals who attack your daughters in the shower rooms of their junior highs where the Democrats put them. Immigrants and advocacy groups, that is left-wing, radical, open borders groups, Democrat groups, nationwide are scrambling to prepare for the waves of raids. President Trump has promised under his plan to deport millions of people unauthorized to stay in the U.S. They're unauthorized to stay in the U.S. It's, there are people in your living room right now, and they're eating your breakfast foods. And your daughter is freaked out and wondering who they are. They're unauthorized to be in your living room. Say, what are these people doing in my living room? They're unauthorized to be here, but merely unauthorized, according to the Democrats. Amazing stuff. Confusion and persistent rumors coming from the media and Axios and CNN about how the raids will be carried out and what will happen to those detained by immigration agents. It's not just immigration either. They got DEA involved, and believe it or not, even the FBI is involved. Must have gotten some of the good guys at the FBI. Are leading some anxious immigrants. No immigrants are anxious unless they're illegal, to refuse to go to work or send their children to schools, the groups say. The left-wing groups are staging this. They're encouraging the illegal aliens to do this so that they can put it in press releases. Because, oh no, the poor illegal aliens are being traumatized by law enforcement when they enforce the law. Because you can't enforce the law in the United States. That'll ruin the Democrats' whole project. These are, these gang members and rapists and murderers are potential Democrat voters, too. Also, the BBC, they're on the job from Britain, England, a tiny island nation near Europe. Trump sends 1,500 troops to border as immigration clampdown ramps up. The clampdown ramps up. The British, 1,500 active duty troops headed to U.S.-Mexico border. Now, one of the funny things I heard today is that Joe Biden already has 2,500 troops at our border. Did you see that today? Joe Biden has already deployed 2,500 troops. Now, they're doing backup work for, they're not marching with rifles and shooting gang members on the other side. They're doing procedural, bureaucratic tasks for the most part. But according to multiple reports I saw this morning, we already have 2,500 troops at our southern border, and that's fine. But because Joe Biden did it and the Democrats. But when President Trump says going to send 1,500, then the news media, they go into anaphylactic shock. I think is that what it is, anaphylactic shock? They become apoplectic. They have spaz attacks. Can you say they have spaz attacks? They get all spazzy on us. Isn't that amazing? Just great stuff. Your Democrat Party, we're at not for double standards. They have no standards at all. And again, President Trump did an interview yesterday with Sean Hannity on the Fox News Channel. His first interview since becoming president again. And amazing, Peter Doocy of the Fox News Channel, their senior White House correspondent, was on WMAL radio in Washington early this morning. And he said in the last 2 days, Donald Trump has taken more questions from reporters and answered the questions coming from reporters than Joe Biden took in the last year of his presidency. And I don't doubt that for a moment. I don't even have to count because I know Joe Biden didn't take any questions because his brain, she's no good at all of that. But in that interview, Trump reflects on return to White House after 4 years of Biden's agenda. Amazing stuff. And President Trump returned to the bust of Winston Churchill, a famous sculpture, bronze bust of Winston Churchill, who is on our side, to the Oval Office. And interestingly, he was not assassinated. He wasn't shot in the head like all the people that Joe Biden had in his Oval Office. But Donald Trump reinstates Winston Churchill bust in Oval Office. You remember Barack Obama removed it with extreme prejudice because his father was an anti-British colonial type, a radical Kenyan, not on our side. Remarkable stuff. And the lefties in the media, like Jennifer Rubin, didn't she just go away? But now she's back again. She's like I don't know, like herpes or monkeypox at a Democrat scrum. Trump's cruel agenda to start with mass deportations. Hey, I got an idea. Don't break our laws. How about that? And ICE raids in Philadelphia, where the mayor doesn't know how to spell Eagles. She's great. How the city will respond to Trump's executive orders. They're going to fight against enforcing the law because they want more crime. The Democrats love crime. And the more Democrats you have, the more crime you have. And guess who's committing the overwhelming majority of the crimes? Well, Democrats. And many of their illegal alien pals, Just remarkable stuff. Update on pardons. Jim Acosta at CNN getting all spun up, doing an interview with a sane and rational person who gave him a little bit of what for, gave him what's what, I'll tell you that much. And we are at 888-630-9625. Kamala Harris's marriage on the rocks. On the rocks. That's a little reference to her heavy drinking, because she's a famous heavy drinker. And Luigi Mangione, you know Luigi Mangione? Good guy or bad guy, one campus in Washington, D.C., a college, a university, scratching their heads. I don't know, should we kill more CEOs or not? That's the debate at George Washington University. 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Have you seen the Haitian guy that was arrested? He loves being arrested. He's been arrested so many times he lost count. But the Democrats want him loose in your daughter's bedroom. And wait till you hear this guy cursing out Trump, loving on Biden and Obama. The Democrat Party is, they should all be rounded up under the RICO statutes, I think. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Keith, calling from the great state of Oklahoma. Keith, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
I think I set a personal record yesterday for being on hold. It was great. I got to listen to your show for like 2.5 hours on hold.
That's very, very thoughtful of you. Thank you.
Anyway, I would like to see everybody to quit referring to the last 4 years as the Biden era and just refer to it as the Biden error.
Well, that it has been, and now the Biden era is over with. That's perfectly appropriate, certainly, and it sounds very much like Biden era, right? So
right.
Democrats might not even notice the difference.
And my other thing, and I'll let you know, I've got a good name for the new Panama Canal. Let's just start calling it the Panamaga Canal.
The Panamaga Canal. Because, you know, I got to tell you, my best girl and I, we were in Panama several years ago now and did the Panama Canal and all that good stuff. And we were staying at a Trump hotel and resort right there on the water in Panama, the country of Panama. It was a beautiful hotel, big Trump name on top of it. And the Democrats, who's that idiot on The View? That, oh, yeah, Trump's the DEI hire. He's got no business background. He's got no political background. Every day's an IQ test. More fires in California, too, north of Los Angeles. And also, I mentioned it yesterday, but nobody was talking about it. Joe Biden, when he left, and I talked about how my best girl and I were sitting on a perch for the swearing in overlooking the city, and we were able to watch the Marine One helicopter, although there was no longer Marine One because Joe Biden was no longer the president, lift off from the east front of the Capitol. And we said, oh, there he goes. There goes Joe. Bye, Joe. And Kamala, I think, was in there, too. I think she was in there. They didn't leave her to walk over to Union Station to get on a metro, but the helicopter took off, and it flew a lap, which is tradition. It flew a lap around the mall and one last pass over the White House aboard the U.S. Marine Corps helicopter with the presidential squadron called HMX-1. And then we were able to watch the helicopter fly out to Andrews, Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base, from where we were sitting. It landed there, then watching on the TV, seeing Biden board Air Force One, the 747 that is normally used as Air Force One. He's the former president now, so it's no longer Air Force One. And he got aboard the 747 belonging to the 89th Airlift Wing at Andrews and took off. and the plane flew a low-altitude pass along the mall in Washington, past the Capitol and the Washington Monument with the White House over there, and then the Lincoln Memorial and the Jefferson. We call it the Jeff and the Link. The Link and the Jeff, we call that around Washington. And the 747 with Joe Biden aboard and not a Dr. Jill Biden flew the length of the mall. And now I learned that they flew directly to California. They flew directly to, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but they flew directly to California and apparently went to a billionaire's ranch in the Santa Ynez Valley behind Santa Barbara. That's where Michael Jackson had his Neverland Ranch, where all kinds of funny business went on there. Maybe that's why Joe Biden's there. But, you know, they didn't just take the plane to Delaware to go to one of their multi-million-dollar houses. No, Joe Biden flew directly to this California hotspot from inauguration. And the People magazine, they've got an exclusive. They probably paid them for it because you know how the Bidens are when it comes to getting paid for everything they do and everything they don't do. Former President and First Lady, not a Dr. Jill Biden, left D.C. after the inauguration of Donald Trump on Monday, January 20th. People magazine is reporting. And Joe Biden headed directly to a favorite destination after Donald Trump's inauguration, following Monday's swearing in of the 47th President of the United States in frigid Washington, D.C. Former President Joe Biden and his wife, not a Dr. Jill Biden, jetted off for more pleasant climes. And they get everything wrong, so I just wanted to share part of this People magazine story. After departing from Joint Base Andrews, the couple headed for a hot spot on the opposite coast, the Santa Ynez Valley of California. That's just over the Santa Ynez Mountains from Santa Barbara, California, where I lived for 7 years, spent plenty of time in the Santa Ynez Valley. According to a local news outlet, KEYT, residents headed to the Santa Barbara airport on Monday, January 20th, to try to catch a glimpse of the presidential plane landing. It's a nice little airport there in Santa Barbara. The outlet reports that a no-fly space took effect in the airspace around Vandenberg, California, signaling the Bidens' arrival. Now, that's Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is not the Santa Barbara airport. Very different airports, but never mind that. People magazine doesn't know the difference. Maybe they landed at the Santa Barbara airport and dropped Joe Biden off, and then the U.S. Air Force airplane, the 747, went to Vandenberg Air Force Base to refuel and restaff or something like that. Get some crew rest, perhaps. But never mind that. Now, Joe Biden, I know, has gone to the Santa Ynez Valley in the past to spend time at the ranch of a billionaire Democrat donor, because they're the party of billionaires, of the rich, of the military-industrial complex, of the corrupt. He and Jill visited last summer, so this is his second visit in less than a year, said Shelby Sim, the president and CEO of Visit the Santa Ynez Valley. This is, what's that movie about drinking wine that was back there? Sideways. I think it was Sideways, yeah. With what's his name? Paul Giamatti, right? And, yeah, like that. So, and then listen to this. Sim of the Santa Ynez Valley Group says, rumor is he's purchasing a home in the area. Well, you know, all the Democrats, Joe Biden his family made about $27 million while he was in office, selling influence and access, and that's fine with CNN and the New York Times. Just fine. Isn't that amazing? Rumor is he's buying yeah, sure. We'll see about that. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But other people's money can be a powerful narcotic, can't it? Yes, sir. Speaking of CNN, Jim Abilio Acosta was on the television, for the time being at least, and he was interviewing a Republican member of Congress. And the Republican member of Congress is a common sense person, and because, that's pretty normal. But Jim Acosta was interviewing Congressman Tim Burchett, and asking about, President Trump pardoned January 6th rioters who were violent with police, just like the hundreds and hundreds of Democrats attacking the White House for 3 days that injured 160 to 180 police officers and set fire to the Church of the Presidents and forced the evacuation of the president and the first family to the underground nuclear bunker. But Jim Acosta is not aware of that. He's literally ignorant of the facts. And, of course, the hundreds of storefronts that were rioted and looted and some torched in Washington, D.C., and not a single person was sentenced to a single day in jail, whereas Enrique Tarrio, a black Cuban-American, was sentenced to 22 years in prison, one of the founders of the Proud Boys, when he was in a hotel room in Baltimore on January 6th and wasn't even in Washington, D.C., much less at the Capitol, much less did he commit any crime. And he came into Washington with the Proud Boys, which are pro-American and pro-Western, and he was stabbed by a Black Lives Matter criminal, along with a lady friend of his, Beverly Beatty. Beverly Beatty, an African-American woman and his close personal friend, was also stabbed by a Democrat. They were 2 of 4 members of the Proud Boys that were stabbed by Democrats in Washington, D.C., by Black Lives Matter people who were burning and torching and looting and stabbing, and nobody sentenced to a day in prison. So it's about equal treatment under law. And here's Jim Acosta talking to Republican Congressman Tim Burchett about pardons for January 6 people who were overcharged up the yin-yang. And we have 2 systems of justice. We don't have equal justice under law because the filthy left is here, and they would kill all of their political enemies in gulags, as the left has been doing for over a century now. Abilio Acosta.
Do you agree with President Trump's decision to pardon these violent people and releasing them from jail?
If they were truly violent, no. But do I know that they were? I don't know that.
What do you mean you don't know that? We're showing the footage on the air right now. This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim. You all continue this narrative of attacking Trump. You just can't stand the fact that he won and that America spoke.
Congressman,
and that your view is very diminished.
That's not the case at all.
And your view is very diminished.
And he just, Acosta, his real name is Abilio, but he changed it to Jim because he's ashamed of his parents' ethnic heritage. This is not Fox, Congressman. This is CNN. Yeah, and that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network and SpongeBob SquarePants than are watching you because, speaking of which, CNN announced yesterday that they're laying off hundreds of people, and now it may be down to at least 100 people, but the people at CNN announced yesterday that they're laying off hundreds of people, and the reason is that they've lost, what did they lose, like $180 million or something last year. And that's all okay with the Democrats because it's somebody else's money. They just want to do propaganda and be left alone. Isn't that amazing? So Jim Acosta, Abilio Acosta, and Abilio Acosta attacking the congressman. Oh, how dare you? And honestly, everybody ought to give my answer. You know, the 3 days of riots attacking the White House, before President Trump walked across to the Church of the Presidents, which was boarded up because the Democrats had attacked it. Democrats set it on fire. The Democrats injured 160 to 180 police attacking the White House, forced the evacuation of the president, and not a single person was sentenced to a single day in jail. Not one. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And again, because of the likes of Jim Acosta, a.k.a. Abilio, CNBC reporting CNN to lay off hundreds of employees as post-inauguration transformation begins. Sources say. They're anonymous. Secret Service, they can't say anything on the record. CNN is planning to lay off hundreds of employees this week. NBC News is also planning layoffs this week. By the way, the Washington Post has been in the middle of layoffs for the last 2 weeks. Right after the Trump election, they just wanted to make sure that Trump didn't get elected before they started laying people off. although the scale will be much smaller than those at CNN. NBC is reporting about NBC layoffs. Newsrooms around the U.S. are reorganizing around digital audiences as fewer people watch cable and broadcast news. Yeah, that's that. Fewer people are watching, but they're not reorganizing. They're reorganizing around their death spiral because they're going down the drain. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so Jim Acosta with Tim Burchett, and Tim Burchett sticks it to him, and that was just great, wonderful. Acosta wasn't done yet, though, and I got to say, everybody ought to answer the way, and the congressman did a little bit, but you guys burned our cities from coast to coast, attacked police stations, police cars burning, torching, thousands, literally thousands of police injured. That's scratch hundreds, literally thousands, more than 2,000 police officers injured, more than, according to the insurance industry, $2 billion in damage, and the attacks on the Mark O. Hatfield courthouse, which went on for weeks on end, and several were killed in that attack, and the rioters being sent to prison. Well, that just didn't happen. Here's Bilio Acosta and Congressman Burchett.
And I just want to ask you, if any of these people who were released from prison, if any of them commit crimes in the future, should Donald Trump take personal responsibility for that?
Good question.
No more than Joe Biden should take personal responsibility for the 14 million people, for Laken Riley losing her life because he didn't have enough guts to enforce the law.
I'm not talking about Joe Biden.
Americans.
I know you're not.
Joe Biden pardons people and they reoffend. He's obviously responsible for that.
Right. Yeah, sure. I wasn't talking about Joe Biden. I know you're not, because you're a filthy, corrupt, fatuous Democrat Party shill. You're a rogue. You're not a journalist. You're a left-wing radical activist and extremist. You should probably be in prison for, I don't know, we'll figure out what it is later. Because isn't that what we do now? We just let you're the target of the investigation. It's the Lavrenti Beria KGB under Joseph Stalin thing that the Democrats have normalized in the United States. And by the way, you guys normalized rioting long before January 6th happened. And had you not normalized rioting, and then the news media telling the people over and over again that it was mostly peaceful, you normalized mob political violence. And had you not normalized it, January 6th never would have happened. Never would have happened anything like that. But you guys made it normal, you filthy corruptniks. Can I say filthy, the filthies? Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Gene. Gene, the talk radio machine calling from Indiana. Gino, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Hey, I'm sure you recall all of the past gates. I'm using that in quotes and everything, such as 1972 with Watergate, and in the 90s we had White Watergate and Hillary with Cattlegate. Well, now we have a whole new gate. It's to eradicate the filth coming out of the White House, and it's referred to as Operation Fumigate.
I like it, Fumigate. Oh, that's funny. That's good. I thought you were going for Pardongate, because Pardongate is already a term that's being used because of all Joe Biden's family pardons, and even left-wing radicals are shaking their heads, saying they can't believe he did it. But Fumigate, that's pretty good. I like it. Got to clean out the White House and the agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it also clears up the sightings of Jesse Ventura in the White House. It's not Jesse, it's Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean is there. There he is, with his knuckles on his hips, arms akimbo, there to clean house. And I got to tell you, honestly, there is Fumigate. That's pretty good. At the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, and across the agencies and departments in Washington, Fumigate. From Gene. Gene, the talk radio machine calling from the great state of Indiana. Democrats, what's the matter with these people? Wah, wah, wah. Thank you, Gene. 888-630-9625. Bam, 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 bam. Turns out Vandenberg Air Force Base in Central California is now a Space Force base. Space Force base. I'm sure they can still refuel a 747 and provide some accommodations for crew rest on presidential aircraft. But that said, I have President Trump talking to Sean Hannity coming up. So stay right there. But right now, let's go to Bob calling from Chicago, Illinois, listening on the great WLS. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Just great, Bob. What do you say? What do you know, huh?
Well, I called because I got a couple of things that I want to share with you. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic what has happened over the last few weeks with Trump and everything. But, this morning here on your show, you made a comment about that Trump has done more in, more interviews than Joe has done in a year. And I hate to say it, but I got to correct you. I really believe that he's done more in the past couple of days with interviews than Biden has done in his whole term.
I wouldn't take that from you. President Trump is true in 48 now. It's about 72 hours, I suppose, we're coming up on, right? And you're right with the executive orders and undoing so much of what Biden did and declarations and rounding up illegals and moving to secure our border, starting peace talks, the Ukraine war, rattling the Hamasites in the Middle East, working on the economy, getting hundreds of billions, maybe trillions in investment into the United States just in a matter of 72 hours.
It's amazing. And also, I want to comment real quick because I know you got to go.
Sure.
I watch your show, Right Squad. I love it. Absolutely love it. Love you, Chris. Love the crew and everything. But last night you had mentioned about that bishop or whatever you want to call that thing, the prayer service, and you made a comment about a Flowbee, that they were doing the haircuts with Flowbees. Well, I'm a loyal Flowbee haircutter. I've been doing it for over 30 years. Yep.
That is great.
I looked at the wife. I said, "Did you hear what he just said?" I said, "Oh my gosh, man, I got to call him tomorrow and talk to him about this."
That is too funny. Yeah, the bishop did look like she uses a Flowbee to cut her hair, doesn't she? We got some of her coming up too, because and we played her on my TV show last night. She's a real piece of work. This one. Thank you, Bob.